For decades, Ford fanatics have journeyed to Tennessee to show off their impressive pickups, panels, custom, and classic trucks. And this year, Dream Rides is dropping by the F100 Supernationals to check out the wide range of eye candy on both 4 wheels and 2 legs. There's plenty to dream about.
The vehicles here are premier vehicles. They have never been seen at any major show since they've been completed. It's become a popular thing. I'm already getting calls for next year. We want to have our truck. We're going to have it done. We want to be in the premier section.
This is a 1953 Ford F100 that I purchased in 1991 out of a farmer in New Mexico. It was out in the field. This one and a twin like it. I gave him $50 for the truck. We had to go back, get tires and wheels for it because the only thing that was there was a shell, the frame, the front fenders, and the hood. We threw that in the bed of a trailer, took it home. The rust was not an issue. It was just the fact that it had been sitting out in the sun, in the inclement weather, in natural environment. So we had to do a lot of work. The truck is all original. The only thing that was not there was the bed and the rear fenders. We're never done. The wife doesn't know that it isn't finished yet. She'll ask me, how much more do you have to? Well, sweetheart, it's 99% complete. Why do you say that? I said, well, every time we go to a car show, you know, you meet new friends, you meet old friends, you talk, you learn, and then you go home and you apply, or you go to the vendors and every year there's something new. So you order it and then you install it. That's why it's always 99%.
A picturesque pair of pickups in the pavilion are owned by best buddies Larry Carr and Tom Bell from upstate New York.
It's a 1948 Ford F100. I've owned it for about 2 years, almost 2 years. It was a South Carolina truck, so it was in pretty good shape. So I just had to put a wiring harness in it, the tonneau cover, and when I get back home, I'll probably rebuild the engine. Well, I couldn't get it started for the first thing. And I liked the color, and I figured I could do the rest. So.
It's a 53 Ford pickup, F100. It's the 50th anniversary, actually. I was looking for something from 53 to 56. I found this one. It was emerald green. Somebody had done it, redone it, but it wasn't what I wanted it to look like. So tore it all apart and started from there. Just changed everything as I went along. Looked from car to car, see what I could get from that car that I could fit onto my truck. So that's kind of what's happened to this whole thing. It's got Nissan 2013 center tail lights in it. Headlights are 2008 Dodge Challenger. Mirrors on the side, Ford Fiesta 213. Door handles inside up along the roof instead of on the doors. Yeah, I picked the things and talked to these guys that would do it for me. And then, of course, some of them told me that wasn't going to happen, but it did. Drove it 847 miles to get here. It is a driver. It's not a trailer queen. Sorry for them that are, but I want to show it. I want to drive it. So, yeah, I appreciate it. And I see the people out there and the kids. They give you the thumbs up. People on the highway, toot, wave. It's a great feeling.
It's a 1956 F100, custom cab, rear back big window, long wheelbase. It was a complete frame off. It was in pretty good original condition, so it was in better shape than most. It's original color, it's metal mist green, and everything that's on it is pretty much the way it was, except updated, meaning freshened up and that type of thing. So It was one of those things where it was kind of an easy decision to keep it all original. This truck belonged to my dad. He was in the grocery business. He used it as a delivery truck. After he retired it, he kept it as a fishing and camping vehicle, put a cab over camper over the top. We spent many times at the lake. It was one of those things that I grew up with, so lots of emotion. I asked him for it when I was in my early 20s. It had just sat there kind of going to pot. And he said, if you want a truck, go buy it. I said, no, I want this one. So he gave it to me with two conditions. I never let it out of the family, and I restored to original. And today marks that day.
When we return, we'll check out an ebony throwback from the 30s and an ivory stunner from the 70s. We'll be right back with more Dream Rides. Dream Rides is being brought to you by Steel Rubber Products, quality crafted rubber parts and weather stripping, Evapo-Rust, Super Safe Rust Remover, Brothers Truck Parts, your #1 source for 1947 to 87 Chevy and GMC truck restoration, and by Dustless Blasting. It's the future of surface preparation. Welcome back to Dream Rides and the Ford F-100 Supernationals. Our next quartet of showcase machines span 5 decades of Ford design, starting off with a tribute from the 30s.
It's a 1934 pickup, V8. I've had it about 4 years. I wanted to build me a hot rod, but after going to look at it and getting it home, I decided I wasn't going to cut it up and make me no hot rod. So about a year ago, I decided to restore it because the guy had put a different engine in it, cut the gauges, holes, extra gauges, done away with a lot of the original type stuff. So in doing it, I took it all apart and found me an engine that was of the era of the truck. I'm pretty lucky. I come last year and I brought my Hot Rod 34 pickup. So yeah, it is. It makes you feel a little bit better about your work because you can't get the dollars back out of what you put in it. So a little recognition goes a long way. I mean, I'm not a F-100, but most of the, especially the older people, love to come to the pre-F-100 trucks. Because the first year I heard about this, I didn't know what was coming out. I didn't know F-100. But, you know, I like to say this is before the F-100. This is the forerunner. It's what our grandpops run around in.
It's a 1954. It belongs to my Uncle Clyde. About 10 years ago, he was doing donuts at the Mason Lodge. Ran into a tree, crashed the truck. So when he turned 80, I took the truck and restored it for his 80th birthday. He's just tickled to death. Gave him something to do. He'd come by every day and work, you know, to make sure Tim was working on it. And if he wasn't, my phone was ringing, you know, why ain't y'all working on my truck today? I had to rework the whole front end, replace the hood, rework the grill, new fenders, went through the whole truck. I mean, it was pretty rough shape. We put the lights and the tail lights in the back just to fill that hole. We wasn't really sure what to do with that, so we found those lights and plugged it and hid all the wiring. We couldn't get the hood to set right. We couldn't ever get the correct springs to make the hood set right, so we put the tilt hood on it for that. We took away the gas tank in the side and put a tank in the back to do away with the filler in the body.
The 65 Ford that was bought in Dallas, Texas, and I've had it for about 5 years and didn't know what I was going to do with it. And I met a man from Wisconsin, his name is Chris Myers, and he was a builder, and my daughter and I, we went up to see about buying a '58 Rambler station wagon. Met Chris and liked him, and he saw pictures of the old truck I had, and he said he could probably do something with it. And we both trusted him, and so he came back and we took the truck to him, and he had it for 8 months, and it was a rusty Dallas truck, and now it's a nice matte finish Kansas beauty.
We make good road trip buddies, and he actually had me go to Wisconsin to meet Chris when we were going to look into the Rambler, so I could be the judge of character and try to see if he was going to be a good, trustworthy guy. And he was. He was very nice, very friendly guy, and he needed my opinion, my seal of approval.
She remembers all the facts on the truck.
All the details. It's great. I mean, we've been following this build for the past year, and it's so nice to be able to share it with people. And I try to describe it to people that it's like a Crown Vic wearing a Halloween costume dressed up like a truck.
It's going to stay in the family, you know. And it's not going to be it's going to be a driver. We leave here today, and we're driving home to Kansas City. I know it's beautiful, but it's going to be on the highway and it's going to get a rock chip here and there, and it's going to be a fun ride.
It's 70 model, F100. Started out a long bed truck, and I've shortened it to a short bed. All the body seams has been welded up and smoothed out on it. Been lowered 4 inches in the front and 5.5 in the back. All the interior dash, all that's been stripped down and smoothed out. There's not a panel on it that's still stock. The only other thing I know I want to do to it right now, I decided to change motors in it here 2-3 weeks ago because I've got a 64.5 Mustang I'm building, and I want to be able to pull it with this one. So I changed the motor, rebuilt another 300. Right now, that's the only other thing I know I want to do. Just always like to fool with these old cars and trucks. And I had a 67 model back in the late 60s, early 70s. And I always thought I wanted another one. So a little bit before I retired, I run across this one and decided that would be my retirement project.
There's still plenty more dream rides to come, including a look at a rare panel truck from the 60s. We'll be right back with more from the F100 Supernationals. Welcome back to Dream Rides at the Ford F100 Supernationals in Lebanon, Tennessee. Our next two vehicles are owned by a pair of brothers, Denny and Bill Rogers, whose trucks both date back to the 1930s.
I have a 1937 Ford pickup. Yeah, I bought it in 2009. It had been in storage since '68, and we put it back to some assembly required. It was tour parked. I had a sign on the door, and it was some feed store. The best I could tell, it was a feed store. It had seed and feed or something. Once I faded through the paint, you could barely make it out. It was seed and feed. The body wasn't in too bad a shape. It just had a lot of dinges in it because they used them for work. A lot of dings and bruises. And did nothing to the motor. Cleaned it up and painted it. And that was a big boost. You know, just having a motor that runs and runs good. So that was, and the driveline all works good. You know, enough money, someone could take it, but I like it. I'm not done with it yet. I've had it all this time, and I'll probably retire or probably die with it, you know. So I kind of like it. You get accustomed to it really well.
Got a 1939 Ford pickup. It's all ready to be redone. We've redone part of it when I bought it. I purchased it in 2011, and I did, you know, put the motor in it, the tranny in it. We did the seat, tailgate, stuff like that. And then we just buffed it out, kind of just put it on the road to have fun with it. Plan to rebuild here soon. It was in good condition. It didn't have a motor in it. The motor it blew up in it, and the guy didn't have the money to fix it, so he just sold it. So my brother and I went and looked at it. It was in a lean-to building. He uncovered it, and I seen the big yellow headlights sticking out, and I told my brother, we got to buy this thing, you know. and because it was in better shape than normal you would find. You know, we're getting older and we're having fun. That's it. Working, still working jobs and stuff. But we have fun. We do. We actually have fun. So that's our joy of life, I guess.
This is a 1959 Ford F100, first year factory four-wheel drive. I actually bought it off eBay about 3.5 years ago. And I wanted to get something, it's the year of my birth, 59, and so a little bit of an emotional attachment. And we got it and did a complete frame-off restoration. Totally recolored it, kept it as original as possible, but upgraded a few things like the brakes and AC. So.
I was on board years ago to do it. He surprised me with it though. He came up to me one day and said, "Hey, I got this truck, it's coming in tomorrow." I was like, "All right, let's get rolling on it." So we just collaborated on it and came up with what exactly we wanted. He took some of my ideas and mostly went with his, and it ended up coming out just the way we wanted it. So
the internet makes it really easy to source new old stock parts and actually used parts as well. So we've been pretty fortunate to obtain parts. The internet's fabulous to do that. It's a wonderful tool.
This next truck tells the story of the string of owners who formed a family because of one rare find.
It's a 1960 F100 panel delivery. This is the last year of the panels before the Econoline vans come out in '61. Well, I bought this truck from a fella, and he had gave me an envelope full of stuff, and I had gotten in touch with the original owner. It was a 92-year-old World War II veteran, bought the truck new, and this was right after I had painted it and all that, and I wanted to get together with those guys because they all lived within 100 miles, all the owners. So I arranged a meeting with all the other owners. I'm the fourth owner at the original guy's house. We all kind of looked at the truck and had a little get together. The old man had brought out all these pictures and papers. And he had photo albums, and we picked through there and found stuff from many years ago, him and his kids and his brothers, and the life of the panel as it went.
Still more dream rides to come, including a pair of trucks that look like they've rolled right off the showroom floor. Stay with us. Dream Rides is being brought to you by Steel Rubber Products, quality crafted rubber parts and weather stripping. Z-Max, the one product for your engine, transmission, and fuel system. Gen-Y Hitch, towing made easy. And by Borla, the world's most winning exhaust. Welcome back to Dream Rides at the Ford F100 Supernationals in Lebanon, Tennessee. Now we're going to show you a pair of supremely stock time machines from the 50s and the 60s.
1953 Ford F100. I tried to put it back 95% original. Just made one or two minor adjustments like 12-volt system instead of 6. Sliding glass back window for comfort, and the rest of it's pretty much original. My son actually found the truck in a magazine, Wheels and Deals, before he had a driver's license, and saw it and liked it and wanted it to fix for his first driver. And we started working on it. It wasn't long after we started working on it that he learned he wasn't going to get done in time for his first driver, so I bought his part out, and he went and got another truck, and I finished this one. But we built the truck to drive it and enjoy it. We didn't build it to put it on the shelf.
It's a 1965 Ford F100. I've had it 10 years. Makes, I think, 7 years I've brought it to the F100 Supernationals. Well, it was in real good shape when I bought it. There was no rust on it. It had one bad dent in it, and it just cleaned up and painted. It's the original color, and all the badges and everything is original, inside and out. And all the moldings and everything is original. or stock. It's not original stuff, but close as you could keep it, you know. Well, it's pretty much done. I need to clean it up a little bit more. A few things. It's been 10 years, and I drive it everywhere I go.
It's a 1956 Ford, the year I was born in, and I've probably owned it 20 years. I started on it, kind of put it to the side, was working on some Mustangs, and then started back on it. Took me about, I don't know, 8-10 years to complete the restoration. I've always fooled with trucks, and like I say, that was the year I was born in, and so just always fooled with old trucks. I have a couple other trucks, some Mustangs, and that sort of thing. That's it, I'm done with it. Probably hang on to it.
We're going to put a wrap on this edition of Dream Rides with an appropriately colored F100 from the 50s.
57 Ford F100. Bought it from a friend of mine. The truck was originally bought new in our hometown, and this is probably the first time it's ever been out of Florida. But pretty good shape originally. It wasn't in too bad of condition. It only had 67,000 miles on it when I bought it in '85. But it's been in pieces and putting this corner of the house and that corner of the house for years, till finally retired and was able to finish the truck up. It took me about 1.5 years to do the final hookup and everything to get it going. It's been completed now for a little over 4 years. Everything on the truck is done by me. I did everything: interior, exterior, welding, frame boxing, all the mechanicals, all the electrical, everything. No one touched it except one gentleman to put the fabric on the headliner. I couldn't make the curves. It wouldn't work for me. I've owned it for 30 years plus, and it'll probably go to my grave with me. If I could bury myself in it, I probably would.
Be sure to join us next week as we continue to cross the country in our quest for the best dream rides in all the land.